the wolf who changed his heart in the shadowed mountains of Silver Pine Valley, where the moon shone cold and bright. There lived a lone wolf named Kale. His fur was dark as night, and his eyes glowed like ember fire. He was feared by every creature in the forest, not only for his strength but for his heart, which had grown hard as stone. Kale trusted no one. Long ago, he had been betrayed by his own pack. When food grew scarce, they had driven him away to survive on his own. From that day forward, Kale believed kindness was weakness, and that the only law worth following was power. "Mercy makes you starve," he would growl to himself as he hunted alone. "The world only respects fangs, but even the fiercest wolves grow weary of silence." One winter's night, Kale wandered deep into the forest, snow crunching beneath his paws. The air was bitter, and hunger gnawed at his belly. As he crept toward a frozen stream in search of prey, he heard a faint whimper. Curious, Kale followed the sound and found a tiny fawn trapped in a hunter's snare. Its leg was bleeding, and its trembling eyes looked up at him in terror. "Please," the fawn whispered, "don't eat me." Kale bared his teeth, his instincts urging him forward. "Why shouldn't I? The strong must survive." The fawn's voice shook, because someday even the strong might need help. Kale froze. The words echoed in his mind like wind through the trees. He looked at the fawn, small, helpless, yet unbroken by fear. Something inside him stirred, something he hadn't felt in years. With a growl, Kale bit through the rope, freeing the fawn. The little creature stumbled up, limping. "Go," Kale said gruffly, "before I change my mind." The fawn hesitated, then nodded. "Thank you," it whispered, disappearing into the snow. Kale stood there for a long time, confused. Why had he done that? He had gained nothing, no food, no advantage. And yet, for the first time in years, his heart felt less heavy. Days passed. Kale kept to himself, but the memory of the fawn lingered. He found himself watching the forest differently, not just as a hunter, but as a living world full of voices he had ignored. Then one evening, a blizzard swept across Silver Pine Valley. The wind howled like ghosts, and the snow fell so thick Kale could barely see. He fought against the storm, searching for shelter, when he heard another sound, a faint cry, half-buried in the roaring wind. He followed it and found a young fox pup shivering beneath a fallen branch. Its tail was pinned, and its tiny body was growing still with cold. Kale's first thought was to keep walking. It wasn't his problem. But as he turned away, a sharp pang hit his chest, the same feeling he'd had with the fawn. Growling softly, he returned, bit through the branch, and lifted the pup gently by the scruff. He carried it to a hollow beneath an old pine and curled around it, sharing his warmth until the storm passed. When morning came, the pup stirred. "You saved me," it said weakly. Kale stood. "You can go home now." "But why?" the pup asked. "Aren't wolves and foxes enemies?" Kale hesitated. "Maybe not anymore." The pup smiled, and Kale felt something strange, a warmth that reached deeper than hunger or survival. Spring arrived, melting the snow into silver streams. The forest buzzed with new life, but whispers followed wherever Kale went. "The wolf who spares prey," the rabbits murmured. "The wolf who guards the weak," the birds sang. Kale ignored them, though deep down, he didn't mind. One day, as he rested near the river, he heard a rustle behind him. Turning, he saw a small herd of deer. Among them stood the fawn he had freed months before, its leg now healed. "Hello, wolf," the young deer said. Kale blinked. "You remember me?" "Of course," the deer replied. "You saved my life. I told my herd about you. We know you're not like the others." Kale's throat tightened. "I don't need their pity." "It's not pity," the deer said softly. "It's respect." Those words struck him harder than any winter storm. For the first time in his life, Kale realized that respect born of kindness felt far greater than fear born of cruelty. But Kale's new path was soon tested. One night, as the forest slept, a pack of wild wolves invaded Silver Pine Valley, his old pack. Their leader, Roken, still wore the same scars. Kayla remembered giving him long ago. "Well, look, who's still alive?" Roken snarled. The traitor who went soft. Kale stood tall. "Leave this valley. It belongs to all who live here now." Roken laughed. "You. Defending rabbits and deer. You've forgotten what it means to be a wolf." The pack lunged. Kale fought fiercely, his claws flashing in the moonlight. But he was outnumbered. They drove him into the riverbank, teeth bared for the final strike. Then, from the forest came a thunder of hooves and wings, and past the deer, the foxes, even the birds. The creatures Kale had once hunted now came to his aid. The herd charged, scattering the wolves. The birds swooped, pecking and shrieking. Startled and defeated, Roken snarled one last time before retreating into the shadows. Kale collapsed, breathing hard. The young deer stepped beside him. "You saved us before, Wolf. Tonight, we saved you." Kale looked around at the faces of the forest, the same creatures who once feared him, and his heart swelled with something deeper than pride. When dawn broke, light poured through the trees, and Kale stood on a ridge overlooking Silverpine Valley. He had lived as a hunter, then as an outcast, but now he was something else, something better. He lifted his head and howled. Not in anger or loneliness, but in peace. The forest echoed his cry, not in fear, but in harmony. From that day forward, Kale became known as the guardian of Silverpine, the wolf with the heart of gold. He still hunted when he must, but he protected the weak, guided the lost, and taught others that even the fiercest heart can learn compassion. And though scars lined his body and memories still haunted him, Kale never again let bitterness rule him, for he had discovered a truth far greater than strength, that a changed heart is the bravest heart of all. Moral: true strength is not measured by power or fear, but by the courage to change, to forgive, and to show kindness where there was once hate. Even the fiercest heart can learn compassion.